that's my sense. I'm not certain. All the bats are kind of like folded over in half, so I think I might have like put more than. I mean, I can actually measure that. Why don't I just weigh one and be like, that's probably indicative of the weight of all of them. Roll it up so that it all just fits nicely. That is 84 grams. Oh, that's not bad. Wow, and I've got a lot of bats. All of which are like that? Really? This is half of the bat that I'm using approximately. That also, like, that would be like 40 grams then. Yeah, 43 grams. Okay. So yeah, each bat is like close to 100 grams. So, that being the case, I'm going to try to make, yeah, I'm going to make gradients gains. Like, I'm going to label them 1 through however many bats I have. They're fairly well organized. I'm not going to get them confused and like mixed together and mixed up. So one skein per bat is fine. I'm pretty sure my bats are like 2 bats together because they just seem like too big. It could just be one piece. I don't think so. I can't remember. Was I making these on stream ever? It would have been about a year ago. It was before I left my old apartment that I made these, but it wasn't too. It was fairly near to the time I moved out. So it would have been like this time last year or a little bit earlier, like maybe February, March. Oh, Blue Turnip, hello. How are you doing today? Change the song. I'm like distracted by my music. I have music on just because I don't want the noise of the wheel to like give me a headache, basically. I'm glad to hear that you are doing well, but it's distracting me too much. I'm gonna turn it off and just wear my headphones on with nothing on. Try and drown out some of the wheel sound. I hope that it's not too annoying for you guys. Like, I was just listening to my stream and I was just like, so that's so annoying, and I tried to tweak a couple things. But we are spinning from a new project now. We're still doing like a rainbow because it's Pride, so everything is going to be rainbow themed this month if I can help it. But But yeah, this is basically just some wool that I dyed and processed myself. It's got a little bit of silk in it just for texture. And it's definitely spinning up a lot faster. I'm spinning it thicker, so it's not going to be super lace weight. And then the yarn that I was spinning before is back here behind me on my dress form. All finished, washed, skeined, dried, and looking pretty good if I do say so myself. What are you up to today, Blue Turnip? I think you said you're like a crafter as well, right? What are you working on? Oh, very cool. Needle binding or nail binding. Very cool. How's that going? What kind of a project are you working on? But to start cooking, yes, definitely get some food in, yeah. I have barely eaten anything today. I should change that at some point. I'm probably going to stream for like another hour before I take my first break. I usually take a break every 2 hours. But I'm going to take a fairly long break because I'm going to grab some food. Where's the hammer? There it is. You're currently in between projects. Cool. I am never in between projects. There's always something on some pair of needles that I haven't finished. Excuse me. Oh boy, I need a coffee. Maybe I'll take that break a little earlier than expected just to stop yawning. I tried to do like rainbow eyeshadow today, but it didn't really come out. I think maybe tomorrow, if I'm up for it, I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm just gonna use like yellow, red, and blue and hope that it kind of like stands out a little bit better. Maybe yellow, red, and blue, and then some green for like yellow, red, blue, and then green for the edge. And that's fewer colors to put down, but it's also brighter when you're not trying to blend so much. I don't know, I'm definitely not like a makeup expert. I have like a rainbow palette that I'm trying to use, and some of them are more pigmented than some of the makeups are more pigmented than others. But yeah, I'm practicing makeup. I bought a new eyeliner pen. It was like $6 or $7, and it is so good. It's not an eyeliner pen. It's the kind that it's like a pot, and you dip it in. It was like, it's so good. I'm gonna buy more before the sale ends because it's just like the perfect makeup. It doesn't smudge or anything too. It's great. It's just this L'Oreal. I guess I should say the brand. It's just like L'Oreal liquid eyeliner. Um, yeah, I like it. It's nice. Obviously not sponsored, but like might as well mention what works. I'm pretty new to makeup, but I know that a lot of people like are worried about like experimenting. So I bought a few because they were all so cheap. I was like, I'm gonna buy one liquid eyeliner. The one I currently have sucks. I'm gonna buy one liquid eyeliner. And I was willing to kind of pay a decent amount, but then I was like, you know what? Quantity over quality. Now that everything's on clearance, I'm gonna get a bunch of the cheap stuff and see if any of them are really good. Apparently, this one is. So, yay. I also bought a couple eyeliner pens for about the same price. It's so cheap right now. To see how I like them as well. So something I want to do today is I want to dye some more yarn. Um, I bought a little, I'll see if it works. I bought a little aluminum kind of strainer so that junk doesn't go down the drain in my bathtub. Hopefully it won't be too, like, I'm worried that it's kind of like too tall, that it's not gonna like just sit flush on my drain. But hopefully it'll be good, and I'm gonna, so that'll help. That'll catch anything that falls out of the wool. Make sure I don't like ruin the drain or anything. So that's what I want to do tonight. So I'm probably going to try and end the stream. I don't mean like early. So I usually stream 6 to 8 hours. Sometimes I do 4 hours, and I did already have a fairly like busy day today. What, it's already been 1 hour and it's almost 7. Yeah, so if I do stream for the full 6 hours, I'll end up at midnight. Hey, Smiles, how are you doing today? We are doing yet another rainbow spin. I lied yesterday. I said I was going to do sewing today. Maybe I'll do some sewing later, but I think I just want to do this spin. So this is some wool. I bought it in bulk. It's bulk. I don't know. It was labeled as merino. It might be from a merino sheep and just be a low quality merino, but it's not as soft as merino is, so. But, you know, I bought it in bulk. I got about 10 pounds, I think I got. And for this project, I mixed the white bulk top with some yellow. Well, okay, let me say my process. So in my wool casserole dish, of course, I laid out some wool and some silk noil in a rainbow. And then dyed it in a rainbow. And then, of course, baked it and washed it out. And after it was dry, then I started mixing it with the white wool and on my blending board. And so this is like, I'd say it's like maybe 25%, maybe more like 20% colorful stuff, and then like, yeah, I don't know, yeah, probably 4.5 kilograms. I usually just say 2 pounds equals 1 kilogram. That's how my brain estimates things. But yeah, it's about 4.5 kilo. But yeah, so I have 1.2 kilos here, or just under 3 pounds, I guess. Maybe not just under 2.5 pounds, maybe. But yeah, 1.2 kilograms, so 1,200 grams here. And eventually, it'll be done. Dev, how did you catch a cloud, and put it on your desk? It's so cute. Thank you, Smiles. I like my cute little wool cloud. Turnip is bouncing between kitchen and PC for sure, for sure. Don't burn the house down. I know if it was me, I would just like forget I'm cooking. Oh, I left the burner on last night. My roommate found it. He's like, Dev. Like I was watching TV. He was like, Dev, left the burner on. I'm like, what? How? How did I make such a mistake? Like such a grave, potentially dangerous error. But I like boil the pot down. I've been really like out of it. I don't know. I've broken 3 things and like forgotten stuff on the stove twice since I moved in here. It's stressing me out. I'm usually not that bad. Like it is disability related, but it's like I'm usually better than that. When my head hurts, I often think it might be my neck because a lot of your neck and jaw muscles are connected kind of to your head, or if not, to kind of some nerves that might give you a headache. Also, your shoulder muscles. So I'm like stretching my neck out because I feel like my head hurts and I want to make sure it's not just that my neck hurts or something like that. Because often that does actually fix headaches for me, is just like stretching my neck and shoulders. Big Cub, hello. Quick hello. Don't know how long I can stay, but want to see the spinning for sure. For sure, we are working on a project that is I processed, well, sorry, I didn't process the wool, but I made it into bats about a year ago, and now I am a bit over a year ago, and now I'm spinning it. So thank you so much for coming in. We're gonna see how much we can get done today. This isn't gonna take us, well, there's a lot more of it than the other one, but it's spinning a lot faster because I'm not spinning it as thin, and I'm not having to process it. Smiles, you said this. Yes, exactly, Smiles. Sorry, you said that before I said that. This processing will be quicker, or this spinning will be quicker because there's less processing. I'm also spinning it a little bit thicker. And I'm spinning it woolen, which means that I don't need as many twists. So I can kind of move my hands a bit faster. Dandy, hello, how are you doing today? But yeah, at least you can see this yarn now when I'm spinning it. It's not like the last one where even when I was plying it was invisible. And the plan, at least, is to use this on the knitting machine. I don't know if the knitting machine will be able to handle it, to be honest, but we're gonna try. Effort is going to be made. Attempts are going to be made, and we'll see if the knitting machine can handle a yarn that's going to be slightly lumpy and inconsistent. Not very lumpy and inconsistent, mind you. So it should be able to handle it, but I'm not entirely sure. Dandy, you have two water balloons crocheted in the last hour. Water balloons. How do you crochet a water balloon? Oh wait, no. I think I saw you put that on the Discord, didn't you? What are you gonna use them for? Are you gonna like actually like soak them in water and throw them at people? I want to see that. On the weekend started a huge blanket that's about 6 feet wide. Holy heck, that is gonna take you forever. 6 feet 2 meters. So yeah, what are the water balloons for? Decoration or like are they intended for decoration or for violence? Just sell them at a craft show. Very cool. Oh, lucky you get to go to craft show. I really need to find some craft shows that are more kind of knitter friendly. I think that like kind of like crocheted water balloons, right? Because then you fill them with like fiber fill. They're probably good for the environment because they're reusable. Uh they're not like plastic, the sort of synthetic water balloons where you like fill it with water and then it breaks, and even if you try to pick up all the pieces, it'll be impossible. with the like if you have like a stuff it's like throwing like wet sponges at each other, you can pick it up pretty easily and reuse it. You don't fill them with anything, you just soak them in water. Right. Sorry, I didn't mean fill. Like, yeah, it would be like throwing wet sponges at each other. You just kind of smush the air out while it's in a tub of water, and then seems like a lot of fun. Oh boy, I am yawning a lot. Okay, I'm going to take a break for a little bit and grab myself a coffee. I think I still have some that my roommate made earlier. So I am like yawning so much. We have gotten almost half of this bat spun though so far, and it's only been an hour and a half, so that's actually not bad. That's about 35 grams. We've got this much left that I'm estimating is 5 grams, and then we have the other half of the bat, which is down here. I'm just gonna spin it. So yeah, I'm gonna finish off this half of the bat, or this tiny bit of the bat. I wish this wheel would go faster. I'm actually thinking this might be more appropriate to use on my like. I do have another wheel that I could use with this. I can't access it right now, so I wouldn't be able to stream with it. I'm also not sure, like, I think it might be better just to do like a two camera thing if I have a spinning wheel. Like my face and the wheel itself. I'll have to figure it out. I need to get a coffee, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Wind that on there. Maybe give it a little even more tension. Not really sure what the deal with this is. Not really sure what the deal with this wool is. I did like do some of the processing myself, but it was already taut when I bought it. So it wasn't like, so it was already very heavily mechanically processed. It's not like impossible to spin it thin, but it really doesn't seem to want to be spun very thin. Just finishing off with that. And then I'm gonna go grab myself a coffee so that I'm not falling asleep, because apparently I cannot function without coffee. I did have a fairly big day today. I went out to the store and didn't do a big shop, but I was like looking around to see if I could find any more yellow dye. I found that yellow is a really hard color to dye because you need a lot before it gets right. So I ended up going to the store and I bought like so much yellow dye. I bought some like lemonade, like basically off-brand Kool-Aid. They come in like big packets for like 50 cents a pop. So I was like, okay, I'll buy two of those and see how much like color they have. Hopefully the color end will permeate pretty well. It's basically Kool-Aid, and people do dye wool with Kool-Aid. And then I went to the dollar store and they had some synthetic dyes. They had some tie-dye, and then they had some like Kintex or something is the brand. I think Kintex is the brand. Like Pintex. And I've used those before, even though they're like a dollar store brand. I've never had a problem. So I just bought all of the yellow dyes that they had in that brand. And then I bought a few of the tie dyes. The problem with the tie dyes is that it comes in like a set of 3 different colors. I think it's like green, purple, and yellow, or blue, purple, and yellow, or pink, purple, and yellow. I don't remember, but I know that there's multiple colors. One of them as well. And so I didn't want to buy too many of those, just because I end up having a lot more of colors that I don't need. It's green, maybe. I like green. But I do want to like dye some locks in rainbow colors. Again, and maybe do a better job this time. So that's why I did that. Yeah, and I think I'm gonna get that set up while later tonight. So I think I am going to do a 4-hour stream today. That's unusual for me. Usually I try to go longer. I usually try to do at least 6 hours, but I'm committed to 4 hours. I really want to do other things today, so that's what I'm gonna do. Unless of course the stream gets like super popular and like by the 4 hour mark, like if there's a bunch of people here and I'm having a good time and we're having some conversation or something or whatever, then I'm probably gonna change that. But for now, I think that's the plan. I shouldn't say popular, I should say busy. Alright, I'm going to go grab some coffee. Try to think better with my brain. Look at that. So that is half of the bat and an hour and a half worth of spinning. And that's actually decently, a decent amount of wool has been spun. Decent amount of yarn. Like that's gonna go fast, I think. Alright, so let's put that on pause and we'll see you guys in like 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, guys, hello. We have coffee. We are back. I didn't eat anything yet, but I got coffee. Um, so there is a little bit of prep involved with the bat. I'm just kind of ripping off a piece like this, but I'm not ripping it off all the way. Ripping it to the end. And then it kind of like just grabs onto like the fibers beside it. So I'm just gonna rip now down the other way. I'm just gonna continue doing that. Trying to keep it fairly consistent and even. You know, nothing's perfect, but I find it's easiest, or it works nicest if you make sure to kind of pull it this way at the end, or when going the other way, do the same thing. So like make sure to kind of, instead of just pulling away to the right, I'm pulling up when I get to the end, which helps straighten out the fibers in that area. So I can pull it away now, but now that I've gotten to the bottom, I want to pull it just down before I get to the next fibers. So I have to kind of rotate the direction that I'm pulling it as I get closer to one end or the other. So I did finish season 2 of The Boys last night. It was good. I have very little. I think that I was sleep deprived by the time I got to the last episode because I have very little recollection of what actually happened in the very last episode. Roommate's like, well, you might have to rewatch it then. I'm like, nah, it'll come back to me. Frenchie is still my favorite character. He's just like, I just love how his character is supposed to be like this guy who like doesn't care about anything, kind of. He acts that way. But then by the end of it, it's like he does actually care about a lot of things, and he himself is aware of it. I like that Billy Butcher is kind of has a similar way of being, in the sense of like, he wants to he believes that he's kind of a heartless, uncaring monster, but there is actually a part of him that's not. But that he doesn't feel comfortable with that part of himself. Oh, that broke. Oh well. Doesn't need to stay intact, but it's always satisfying when it does. Coffee. I've got my like hidden coffee, hidden behind the clouds, the colorful clouds. All right, here we go. Let's start this again. Try to spin it nice and thin now. I really do want this to be like fairly thin, so as to make it a nice kind of summer garment, but I know I'm not going to be able to get it as thin as the previous one, so that's that. I also kind of don't want this to take forever, because it's going to be a long spin, kind of going to being too, what's the word? Caring too much about making it thin. Or like, yeah, trying to be too particular, too precise with it is gonna just take too much time. So it's better to make it just a little bit thicker. Yeah, so what I'm going to be doing today after stream, because I'm going to be doing a short stream. Streams, oh wait, what? That means the stream's half over already. Very short. Um, I'm going to be doing a short stream today because I want to, or at least I'm planning on a short stream, depending how busy it gets. I might change my mind on that, but I'll probably be doing a short stream. Because I want to dye some wool. I really want to just get it done as much as possible. I just like, I don't know. I've been hoping to kind of get like a rainbow, not a rainbow, but like a color selection done for a while. So just like one of each color, one batch of each color. I can mix them up, but you know, do like basically all of the primary and secondary. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. And yeah, just do all of those. And then I think I do want to... I'm kind of on the fence about doing one that has like grays and black in it. That sounds like a good plan, but I don't know. And so with the wool that I made this yarn out of, that's what I'm planning on to do. I actually, so last night I freaked out. Well, I didn't freak out. I was very calm, all things withstanding, but I was very upset on the inside. Cause the skein ties broke. So when you make a skein, right, it's just like a big donut of wool. And you tie it off so that it doesn't come apart. But because this wool was so thin, I actually somehow both ends of the skein ties came apart. And one of the skeins, one of the 4 skeins, got extremely tangled. So I spent like 4 hours untangling it, I think. I was so sad. But it's good now. I did have to cut it in a few places, and I wasted this much only. Although I do have a few spots where it's only like 2 meters long because I did have to cut it so many places. But I figured, you know what, it's best to just, you know, just try my best with it. And I did, and it worked, so yay. So yeah, so that's kind of broken now, but it's fine. It'll survive. It'll still be completely possible to weave with, which is the plan. Like I'm gonna be weaving with it. I just need to yeah. And that's another thing I need to do and that I'm going to do while my wool is dyeing, is that I'm going to Fluff Mountain. I know, right? Hello, Aardvark, how are you doing today? And so that's another thing I'm going to do while I am dyeing the wool today, is that I am going to grab some, I'm going to grab my loom, finish off what's on it, then I'm going to do a bunch of math and figure out, like, how much fabric I'm able to weave with this yarn. Not this yarn, the yarn behind me. Aardvark, so the yarn that I was spinning for the last week is behind me. It is finished. It's looking beautiful. I think it does make a nice rainbow when you kind of look at it from a distance. So I'm happy about that. How are things over here? Things are doing good. I am sleepy and have been yawning all stream, but I've got some coffee now, so it's better. And I went outside today, which is rare for me. I like going outside. I go on walks, and then I do exercise a lot. But since moving to a smaller city, where everything is like driving distance away, there's no way that I can really walk. Like, if I want to get to any of the shops that are basically anywhere except for the ones super close to my apartment, there's one's like a 5-minute walk away from my apartment, and then there's shops like a 2-hour walk away from my apartment, and those are my options. I believe you gotta get outside once a day, even if it's just for a few minutes. Well, we do have a balcony, so I do go technically outside every day, most days. I can't claim that it's every day, because I'm sure I've forgotten a few times, but I do go outside for the fresh air at least once a day. Usually at least once a day, and hang out on the balcony. It's nice to have like a coffee, like, you know, when you have your morning coffee and you don't want to do anything because you're not awake yet, but you still make coffee and you just want to like lay back down in bed and like do nothing, or sit down and drink your coffee and do nothing else. I think that's like a really nice time to go out and sit on the balcony. Of course, I don't really need the neighbors to be seeing me in my pajamas, but it's my balcony. If they're looking, that's their problem. But yeah, so we are spinning some yarn from wool that I've spun, that I processed. I did not process this from raw wool. I processed it from a already processed wool, but I processed it to add the colors and textures in that are here. Nice light pastelish desaturated rainbow, but I like it. Aardvark, you said you work in a hospital, which makes it feel weird. It's a giant building covered in glass and windows, but every single shade is drawn. There's no sun in the hospital. Why don't they open the shades? So you always make sure to walk the long way around to your car at the end of the day to remind yourself that the sun's a thing. It's nice that you have, at least, like, you can end your shift while the sun is still up. I used to work in kitchens, and especially in the, and yeah, I used to work in kitchens, and, sometimes I would have to, like, basically get to work as the sun started coming up. That was horrible. And then they would have me on for, like, a 12, 13-hour shift, and then when I was done work, the sun would be down again. It was very upsetting. It was like, there's no such thing as sun. And of course I would have to take the subway to and from work, so there was that. I'm so glad I don't have to work in kitchens anymore, though. But why wouldn't they just open the shades? Like, why would you have a huge glass ceiling if you're not gonna be able to see through it? That's just... I don't understand. My dad's a doctor, and he works in, like, a hospital. And it's kind of like a similar thing. There's, like, glass everywhere, but it's all, like, frosted glass. And it's like, why have so much glass except to be, like, all fancy and bougie? Like, who are you trying to impress? Aardvark, you said, everything I've ever heard about kitchen work makes it sound brutal, thankless, and makes me not understand why they aren't paid more. They aren't paid more because it's thankless. And, like, that's... I think people who are in kitchen work aren't paid more because you only go into kitchen work, usually. Uh, you only go into kitchen work in one of two circumstances. Either you want to be a chef, in which case you've probably like gone through cooking school and get a decently good kitchen job. Like once you're like a chef or like a sous chef or something like that, you're good. Or people are desperate, right? People who are desperate for jobs will get jobs that are not healthy for them because they need to feed themselves and pay rent. This is why I believe that rent and food should be free for everyone, like housing rather, and food should be free for everyone. Like I'm not like fully communist because clearly communist systems are rife with exploitation. But in terms of that, I guess it's like socialism or something. I don't know. I don't want to put like a label on it, but I believe that necessary things necessary for life, should be free so that people aren't forced into self-destructive jobs, right? Um, because yeah, no, kitchen work should be paid more for the work that's done. Like if you consider capitalism as like the effort equals the pay, then people who work in kitchens should be paid a lot more than people who work in offices. But because it's easier to get a job in a kitchen, they don't pay any more than minimum pretty much ever. And yeah. But like realistically, like if it were just a simple effort equals money, then kitchen jobs would make a lot more. Aardvark, you said, agreed, but since we're stuck in capitalism, I think labor's value should be evaluated along different lines. I completely agree. I completely agree. Or we should just like find a way to get unstuck. Like I'm not an anarchist. I do not believe in anarchy. I believe that having systems, major systems in place, is like governmental systems and stuff, is like better for society. But I also think that the systems that we currently have in place are really stupid and exploitative and harmful to like more people than they are beneficial to, for sure. Um, and that's not okay. So I'm not big on anarchy, but if we need anarchy to get to a better place, then okay, I guess. But like preferably we'll keep kind of the concept of a governmental system, and then we'll be able to have like like for example, and I think just one thing like and Lee McGee, hello, welcome. I don't want to ignore you. Thank you so much for coming in. You said, I used to work retail and it was heck. If you got time to learn, you got time to clean and horrible pay. Oh, what? Wait, time to lean, you got time to clean. Yeah, that's the same with kitchens. If you got time to lean, you got time to clean. And I'm just like, look, if I've done twice as much work as all the other employees here, which is true, like the other employees were very much like lazy, can get away with doing no work, whereas my work ethic doesn't allow for that. I have to do all the work that I can as fast as I can. That's just the kind of person I am. That's why I spend my entire life spinning now and knitting and stuff, because like I would rather get work done when I have time to work. I would rather get as much work as possible done. But because I got like twice as much work and worked twice as hard, then I was just like, oh, I would like to take a break. And they're like, nah, we got more work for you to do. And it was like, then pay me more. What the heck? So I started just ignoring them and being like, standing up to my boss and being like, no. but that was kind of because I felt kind of confident that I was the best. For the longest time, I wasn't. I was really beaten down, and they convinced me that I sucked because they could see that I was the hardest worker, and they didn't want me to stop working for anything. Now you have an office job. You can take breaks whenever you want and get paid a lot more. I know, and it's like I've never had an office job. But is an office job really worth more money, like in terms of the work you do, than like retail? Like, are you doing so much more or better work than you would be in retail? The thing that really gets me is just the fact that so many people, and this would be myself as well if I was planning on going through school, so many people need desperately to work, but saving money for school or whatever is just so impossible, right? It's like I could get a good job. I know I could. I was in the gifted program all throughout school. I've always gotten really, really good marks as long as my disability is accounted for. I am not. I could get a job in like a good industry, maybe not the best job, but I'm not, depends, right? Because I do have a disability, maybe not the best job, but still, like, I could get a job in a good industry and get good pay, but I can't afford to go to school. Like, I can't afford, it's not even like about student loans. It's like I wouldn't be able to afford to like keep myself alive while going to school. Let alone pay for like entry fees and all that. And so it's like I'm stuck going in kitchen jobs, which then beat me down and give me like, coping mechanisms that are then really bad for my brain. And then education is harder for me, right? Like if like I was in kitchens for like 5 years before I gave up on it, on trying to do a real job. So now I'm just trying to make a living on my art. Guys, subscribe to my channel, follow, subscribe, check out my YouTube and my other social media and my shop and donations. Give me money. Oh, I'm so bad at self-promoting. I still need to learn how to do it right. And not sound like desperate, but also not sound like I don't want it. Aardvark, he said the weird part to you is that you've seen the reasoning used in different circumstances. Oh, I hate people like just their stupid reasoning. People say pro athletes are paid so highly because they're sacrificing their bodies for entertainment purposes, yet somehow this argument is never transferred over to things like kitchen staff, retail, warehouse workers, etc. Yeah, I know. I have like a bad back. At least partially because of kitchen work. I have carpal tunnel from kitchen work, like mental health issues, like it's not okay. And when I was working in the kitchens, like I couldn't even knit or spin because my hands were like the skin was raw for so long. It was just too painful to do any of my hobbies. That was actually one of the main reasons that I quit. I was like, I am in too much pain to do the things I love, so I'm just literally wasting my entire life. That was one of the main reasons that I actually ended up quitting. But like also my sleep issues, right? Like I would have, because I have a sleep disorder, I don't always sleep at the same time every day. I I was often not able to sleep because my kitchen work schedule and my sleep schedule conflicted. So that sleep deprivation definitely wasn't good for my brain. My memory is horrible now, and I think that's a big part of it. They get paid more because people pay to watch them. Yeah, exactly. It depends how much money you bring in. But I mean, it's not really the athletes themselves that are bringing in the money, right? It's the people who are publicizing them that are really making the money, right? The athlete is just kind of a figurehead or an icon. That's the real reason, but rarely the one given. I feel like, but yeah, like athletes, like I've known people who are great athletes who are also homeless, so they don't get sponsorships because they can't afford an agent to give them sponsorships. Um, but they're still like really excellent, like can run super fast or can do like acrobatics really, really good. But because they can't afford training or they can't afford, so it's also kind of a class issue, I guess. It's like if you're low class, you haven't paid for those like sponsorships or whatever. Like you can't prove that you have those skills. That's something that really gets me, at least. Like, because I grew up in a fairly well off, it would be considered upper class by today's standards, but my parents always said middle class when I was a kid, so I don't know if they were just trying to be like, um, whatever. I don't know. But by today's standards, definitely like upper class family. Um, and growing up, it was like there were so many opportunities to prove that I was good at stuff. Like I won awards and stuff like that as a kid. Um, and then once I got kicked out of the house, um, that was all gone. There was no opportunities to prove that I was good at things because you need to kind of, if you're a good athlete, you prove that in competition, but you need to pay to join competitions. And if you're like, well, if I don't get first place in this competition, I'm not getting my money back for joining, then if you need that money, you're not going to join because you're like, well, I might not get first place and it's not worth the risk. So that's another really big thing is like the opportunity to kind of prove yourself. And that doesn't just apply to athletes. Like for me, I was like, I think it was like second or third in like my grade and gender in like a chess tournament, all of Ontario chess tournament. Um, and I was like, and this was like shortly before I was homeless, and I was like, I got, I didn't win anything, like I didn't win any money because it was still like a kids chess tournament, but like I got second, right? But like, if my family hadn't been able to like afford to drive me to like this like chess tournament, or if my um or if I hadn't been enrolled in a school that had chess tournaments, or if I hadn't had the time after school to like practice chess because I had to like help my family around the house because we didn't have like a maid, like these are all things that are like really like. And then when I was homeless, I was like, oh well, that's unfortunate that's so like different, you know and like obviously it was really upsetting to me because it's like, wow, look at all the potential that I had that I don't have anymore because I can't afford to show it. But it's also like, what about all the other people who are just born poor and don't even have this kind of under their belt to kind of prove themselves, right? Like they don't even have the self-confidence because they've never had an opportunity to prove themselves. It's like, at least I know I would be capable of things if I could, which is a good thing to know, also not very helpful, but like, and tends to create a lot of angst and frustration. But like, imagine somebody who's like never been able to like prove themselves, right? Because their family doesn't have the money to enroll them in stuff or to practice things or to have, the time or focus for things. You know, imagine like I live in a pretty noisy apartment building because that's what I can afford right now. And it definitely shows in my sleep. But imagine I was going to school and I wasn't able to sleep well because somebody's just shouting at each other outside my building. Um, Imagine I was like a kid who kind of thought they were stupid their whole life, but only because they're not getting proper sleep in order to actually, think clearly, right? I don't know. I think about these things a lot, about the kind of effects that things have. And then sometimes people are like, oh, well, stop being so sensitive. And it's like, but that's the thing. Everybody is this sensitive, whether they realize it or not. You know, sometimes people try and take responsibility for things. A lot of the time, actually, people try to take responsibility for things that really aren't their fault, you know? Like, especially people who are in, you know, bad financial situations are often told to take responsibility for their situation. And it's like, but there are so many other factors, and most of the time they are the people who are like, it's usually and then like, I don't know. Like, class divide is super real thing. Like, I really want to raise awareness for that sort of thing, because it's like, I've noticed a huge class divide in my personal life, as well as with like the people around me, because I've been kind of on both sides. And I'm pretty, I don't know, I really want to raise awareness about that, because I know that a lot of people just don't, I guess, don't have the perspective of having kind of lived two different kinds of lives. And the amazing lack of opportunity for people who are like, just because they don't have money is ridiculous. It's like, you like, oh, you know, this athlete is so good at their sport. And it's like, yeah, but they're only good at it because their family could enroll them in lessons, and because they were able to like do contests and win them because their family had the money to like apply for the competitions and all that stuff, right? Lee McGee says there's a reason why the stereotype of an artist is either someone who's being funded via their sponsors or parents, or somebody struggling to make ends meet. Absolutely. And by the way, you're not going to get funded by a sponsor, most likely, if you haven't either basically sold your soul to them, or if your parents haven't, you know, hooked you up. Lee McGee says if you want to do something you like professionally, you have to sacrifice something. Yeah. And I think that's, I mean, like, yeah, I'm definitely like a starving artist. I feel like, I still feel though, like you say that, but you know what? Like, in terms of between this and working in a kitchen, this is still better. You know, not only do I have opportunity and physical ability to do something that I like, um, and but you know, I am not sacrificing my health. I'm not sacrificing my physical or mental health for it. Excuse me. And now I am on welfare. I'm on disability welfare. Thank goodness for that. But it's not a lot. It's not. Most people would still consider it to be like less than half as much as a person needs to live. It is less than half as much as a person needs to live in my city. To live, you know, without being unhealthy. But still, I feel like at least I'm able to kind of, it's easier for me, I think. And like, not in the quitter way, but in the like, I feel like I'm able to actually live the life that I want to live sort of way. But yeah, I may never have a job, right? Like, I may have to live on disability for my whole life, and I don't want to do that. Like, I'm the kind of person, like, I like to work. I like to always do things and do them to the best of my ability. But if that's going to be taken advantage of, or if I'm not going to be fairly compensated for that, then that's not worth it to me. And I don't want to buy into that either. I don't want to have the social impact of kind of being part of the problem, no matter how small a part, by allowing somebody to do that to me. You know, the more people that allow jobs to mistreat them because they're desperate, the more jobs will mistreat people because they know they're desperate, right? And they know that it will be allowed. And of course, there are so many people who aren't in a position where they can choose not to, but I don't want to buy into that problem. Arvik, you said it's interesting to see geographic factors as well. When I first moved to Washington State, I lived out in a rural area. I started meeting a lot of guys who were all missing fingers, hands, or arms. So finally I asked what was up with it. I was told that the local door plant, I don't know how to pronounce that, was the only place in the area with a lot of jobs. A lot of folks didn't have the money or scholarship guidance opportunities to get out of the area for schooling, so they all ended up working at the very unsafe door factory. Wow. That's, I mean, and that's huge. Like, if there was something like that in, like, Toronto, if there was such a factory, I would expect that it would be cracked down on, right? If people are constantly losing limbs at a factory in Toronto, that factory is going to be investigated and likely shut down, or, you know, they're going to have to put stuff in place not to hurt their employees, right? But then that's another thing too, is like, because it's all poor people who don't have proper education, or who don't have sufficient education working there, who's going to take them to court? You know, like, not only can they probably not afford to take their job to court, although they could do a class action, but they wouldn't know how to do a class action, or even necessarily that a class action would exist. And in response to Lee McGee saying, if you want to do something professionally that you like, then you have to sacrifice something, Aardvark says in some cases maybe you even have to sacrifice your life. And that's definitely true. Like, you see a lot of, like, artists dying at a young age. And that's often, like... And I'm sure, I don't know, like, a lot of the time it's like, oh, it's drugs, or it's, you know, suicide. But it's like, but why? Why is it, you know? Like, the tortured artist is also another really, big kind of stereotype, right? The tortured artist. It's like they're not financially unstable, but they're something. There's something that they're, like, running from, or something that they're trying to push, some emotion that they're trying to push down, right? And I wonder how much of that is actually just the industry, right? Because a lot of the time when you hear stories, it's like, oh, you know, their girlfriend died or something like that, and so then they were the tortured artist because tragedy, right? Or because they had a bad childhood. But I don't think that's really the case. I think a lot of successful artists, there's something about the industry that they end up having, you know, that they can't cope with. And so they turn to drugs or else. Aardvark said, I had an artist friend who died because being an artist doesn't come with health insurance. So he kept putting off going to the doctor until he really couldn't swallow anymore. Couldn't swallow anymore. Oh no. I am so sorry, Aardvark. Yeah. America and their healthcare system. Thank God I live in Canada and we get free healthcare. Like, it's not great in the sense of, like, it's just, like, they don't give people, like, as much care as most people kind of need. Like, as much individual care, I guess. Like, if you're in America and you go to a doctor, I think you would expect, like, the doctor's not going to just brush you off because they want you to come back to them. Whereas that kind of happens a lot in Canada, especially, like, I go to the doctor and I say, but then it's kind of the same thing still, where, you know, somebody will go to a doctor in America and they'll say, oh, there's nothing wrong with you, and the person will be like, but I can tell there's something wrong with me, you know? Happens the same in Canada, so I don't know how much of that is, like, just the free healthcare thing, or how much of it is... But yeah, no, paid healthcare is ridiculous. That's another thing that should be just free everywhere. You know, life-saving medications and surgeries and treatments and doctor's visits, really, like, God. Yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that, Aardvark. That's really sad. I wonder if that's part of the reason that Canada actually has a fair number of, like, artists, right? Because we don't have that high of a population compared to the US, nor do we really have that much in terms of like I don't think we have that many like opportunities to like act or anything. But then you see a lot of Canadian musicians and actors, or like at least a higher percentage than one might expect. Um, and that could also be a bit of a bias because I live in Canada, and we get shown Canadians more. But I do think that that's kind of a thing, right? And yeah, and I wonder how much of that is like because we have free healthcare, so it's a little bit less dangerous for Canadians to get into art because we don't need to worry as much about health insurance. Because even if I go to the US, right, on holiday and then I get sick, I will be able. Actually, I don't know because of my so just assume that I'm just let's pretend for a minute that I'm like a Canadian citizen. If I were to go to the U.S. and get sick and then have to go to an American hospital, the Canadian government, I believe, would pay for my health care. I believe. I'm not certain, but it's kind of like an agreement because I am eligible for free health care. However, like you said, it depends a lot on location. Some clients have larger budgets for the art, and some have bigger artists slash art foundations slash museums in the area that foster the arts. So for sure, yeah. I know that like New York is kind of a big one for like a lot of artists live and work in New York because of all the kind of art. Like, I would love to go to, like, New York for that reason, right? I'm gonna go one day. One day. These streets will make you feel brand new, ignite and inspire you. I think she said ignite. Why would a person want to be ignited? I don't want to be on fire, not literally. You've never been to New York, but have heard it's a good place to visit. Great place to visit. Yeah, I've been to like Buffalo before. I think my family like crossed the border from Toronto or from like Niagara, I guess, and drove to Buffalo. I don't remember very well because I was very young, so I could be getting the geography wrong, but I'm pretty sure we've been to Buffalo before. Buffalo, New York, and I don't think we've ever been to like New York City though. I don't think we ever went. I need to get my passport so that I can go because I have a friend who lives in New York who keeps trying to get me to come down. She's like, "Oh, you can stay with me. Come visit. We'll have a sleepover." And I'm super excited for that. I mean, the embassy should be opening up now, so I should be able to like go and get my passport. Yeah, it's near night. Like I think we crossed over at Niagara. I think we went to Niagara Falls, and then crossed the border, and then went to Buffalo, and then went back to Toronto. That's if I'm not mistaken, that's kind of what we did. I do remember going to like Niagara at one point as a kid, kind of like a day trip. I went to the Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum. And then they also had like a movie theater with like moving chairs and stuff before like 4D was really a popular thing. That was fun. Um, it wasn't even like good. It wasn't even like a movie, right? It was like you were simulated being like an ice cube that was being like cut and like going on like a twisty conveyor belt kind of thing. It was fun because the chairs moved, and then they had like um they sprayed kind of like cold water on your face to simulate like when they like shaved down the ice cube on the conveyor belt. They sprayed like water. It was like a kind of a badly CGI'd movie. But it was fun. I remember it being fun. They had like a smoke machine and stuff. Um, I don't know if that still exists, but I enjoyed it when I went to Niagara, and then yeah, and then we went to Buffalo. Oh, and we went on the drop zone, the the amusement park ride that just makes you go vroom really fast. And I hated it. I hated falling. Um, Aardvark, he said there's a Ripley's Museum in San Antonio, Texas as well, but I was busy while there, so I didn't get to check it out. I like it. I mean, Ripley's is just one of those kind of morally questionable, um, one of those morally questionable museums. I mean, I think all museums are morally questionable, but um, especially Ripley's, um, definitely not a good source of information. A lot of the stuff is kind of like made up, but it is fun. It's fun to go. Um, I went to Ripley's like last year as well, and they had like all the pandemic stuff, all the pandemic to make sure you didn't get too close to people, you know, and stuff like that, and that was fun as well. I agree it's morally questionable, says Aardvark, but at this point it's just kind of a weird facts repository. When you put it well, weird and possibly inaccurate facts. Um, but when you put it next to the circus or zoos, it feels pretty tame. That's true. Um, and I feel like zoos can be okay in terms of like modern zoos in terms of being like a wildlife like sanctuary, I guess. Like not sanctuary really, but like that the zoos are making money for people visiting them and seeing the animals, but also they are making sure that the animals are, you know, able to survive, like animals that are endangered or extinct in nature can be kept in zoos, and I feel like that's more not bad. But yeah, definitely circuses, especially at the time that and zoos, especially at the time that like Ripley's became a thing. There's a reason that zoos and circuses have changed so much. Um, that like zoos now are have a huge focus on like the animal's health and endangered species rather than just capturing animals and bringing them in so people can gawk at them. And it's cool that like circuses are a lot more just like acrobatics and, you know, entertainment rather than you know, freak shows. And I mean, zoos would have these like weird museums and stuff like that as well, with, you know, probably not real, but like maybe. Still gawking at Wool Mountain. How long is it gonna take to get through all that? I honestly, so it's one. I'm gonna have to do math. To give you a. Actually, you know what? Let me finish this. This will probably take about half an hour to finish. But let me finish this, and then I'll give you a more accurate number. Because what I got here is about 800 grams. Or 80 grams. 800 grams, oh my god. What I got here is about 80 grams. And 1.2 kilograms, or 1,200 grams, is the entirety of Wool Mountain. So I'm gonna just look at the stream timer and tell you when I finish this. I can do math. Actually, you know what? No, I can answer that now. I'm gonna assume this is gonna be done around the 3-hour point. So I gotta do some algebraics. Right. So, okay. So 1.2 kilograms divided by 80 grams is 15. So this is 1/15 of the entire state. That's not right. There are more than 15 colors in this. Okay, I think my scale does not know how to math. Let me see if I can make it kind of give me a more accurate. If I put this here, so let it tear out like that, and then put this on top, then none of it will be touching the ground, and as long as I can get it to balance, then I should probably have a better number. Come on, Wool Mountain. We can do this. Come on. Come on. Oh, it's touching the table here. All right. I could weigh it individually. That would be smart. There we go. Yes, it's all, none of it's touching the table. 1.9 or 1.4? It's 1.4. Yeah. 1.461 grams. It's hard to see because it's like a, so it's 1,461 grams. Plus 80 because this one's off of it. So 1,461 plus approximately 80 is 1,541. And then that divided by 80 is about 20. So 3 times 20 is 60 hours. It'll take approximately 60 hours. I think I'm still wrong, but that's the best I can do. That's a lot of flute. It is a lot of flute. That is why it is in fact Wool Mountain. You are correct in your assessment. Oh no, I spilled coffee on my desk and I am totally not wiping it up with my sleeve, not at all. Never would do such a thing. But yeah, it's a nice spin. I like, oh, I made it upside downy. I don't want it to be upside downsy. Go there. Be balanced. Don't fall in my coffee. Oh, I'm back. this is probably enough. So depending how thick I spin it, it's enough to make 1 or 2 sweaters. Um, the thinner, the better. I'm gonna try to make 2 shirts out of this, but I'm not sure. Wool dirt is probably bad coffee seasoning. Probably. I mean, this wool doesn't really have much dirt in it. It was very clean when I got it because it was like factory processed, but just wool in general doesn't taste that great in your coffee. In my opinion, you know. I washed my hair today. I don't wash my hair every day because I like don't want to dry it out, but it really isn't. It really is kind of frayed at the edges. We'll see how it looks when the dye grows out, when the bleach grows out. See if it's still frizzy around the edges. Aardvark asks if the fiber gets thrown up in the air a lot and causes any breathing issues. This one in particular, no, but there certainly are some fibers that do. I think the one that's most famous for it is cotton. Cotton is horrible to work with. If you ever see people in like cotton factories, I think there was like a cotton lung was like a was an actual like health condition at one point. It might still be, but I think they would call it something else. But it's yeah, cotton is really dangerous to work with without like a proper mask. I think people usually just wear like fabric masks. Like once the cotton has been woven into something, like once the cotton has been made into fabric and you're not cutting the fabric or anything, like most COVID masks are made out of cotton, and that's perfectly safe as far as I know. But when you're cutting and spinning and working with like cotton particles, they just go everywhere. But yeah, no, not wool so much. There's a few other things like certain animal fibers are more likely to get thrown up into the air, and kind of I found that Angora rabbit tends to get up my nose a lot. But then there's also the fact that like your body is able to break down organic fibers fairly easily. Unless you're getting like a huge amount of it. So the answer is like in general, yes. For this one, no. Every so often I'll get like a fiber stuck to my like lipstick or like in my nose. But it's not common. And it's easy to like just kind of brush away, usually. I don't know why I'm acting that out, but yeah, it's usually easy to just like brush away. But yeah, there's a reason I don't really work with cotton all that often. It's not really good for you. And that's the case when like knitting or weaving with cotton as well. I think mercerized cotton's a little bit better. But yeah, if you have just like plain cotton yarn, you might want to like, or even like cotton fabric that you're doing a lot of like cutting, you might want to like wear a bit of a mask for safety. You don't know that you've ever seen me work on artwork? I'm pretty sure you have. Let's see, the project is in here somewhere. Yeah. I haven't been working on it because I have a tangled skein. I should probably put that over there and just kind of work on that while watching TV or something. But if you've ever seen me working on this project, this is all cotton. And this doesn't get thrown up into the air because it's like crochet cotton, crochet thread. But yeah, this is a t-shirt that I'm, oh my gosh, it's pretty heavy. This is a t-shirt that I'm working on that I've gotten kind of right down to the chest. It's the infamous shirt. It's the one that taking a million years to complete. Um, then yes. But I got past the hardest part. The hardest part is like, actually, I'll show you. I'll show you on a different, because it's easier to see on a different one. But when you're making, actually, is it easier to see on this one? I think it is. So when you're making a sweater like this, let me get the shoulders here. So you know what? I'll just put it on. I'm putting it on backwards just so it's kind of easier for you to see. So if you see this, right? The color work part, the part with the images on it, the hardest part is like right here. Like the bottom of like the mushrooms. So like, or not the hardest part, but like the most time consuming part. And the reason is that at the neck, it's, you know, only the width of the neck. But then it gets larger to the width of the shoulders. And then at this point, it's like the width of your chest as well as like the circumference of your chest and back, as well as the circumference of each of your arms, are all in this like mushroom row. Like they're all, it's like the entire circumference of your chest and back, your torso, as well as the entire circumference of your like each of your arms. So that's the like most time consuming and therefore the most like frustrating part, because it feels like you're never gonna get done. And then after that, it's just basically straight down for the torso and then straight out for the sleeves. Or you could be doing a sleeveless or short shirt. I hope that was a good explanation, but like that's why like I was like dying for a while because I was just like at that part forever. Because it just takes so long to get past that kind of hurdle. It's like when you're like trying to bike up a hill. It's like that's like right before the top of the hill when it's gotten like super steep. If it's a hill that keeps getting steeper and steeper and steeper, and then finally you're at the top and you're fine. That's like the steepest part. So you have seen me work with cotton, yes, but I do not very often. Of the yarns over here, this one has cotton in it. This one's a nice cotton. This one has cotton in it, but I think that's about it. And then I have a few cotton yarns up for sale on my shop that I don't think I'll ever use. Hand spun yarns. I do in fact have like cotton crochet or cotton quilt fabric that I was planning on working on today, but then I decided against it. I've got some wool stuck to my foot. And it broke. This must have fallen off my table at some point. Down there. Well, yeah, I'm kind of happy with this project because it's like the bobbin's filling up pretty fast. If I was doing a normal length stream, no, did I lose the end? I hope I didn't lose the end. If I was doing a normal length stream, I would probably be able to get the entire, like, one bobbin per day type thing. Well, maybe not. Found the end, okay. Maybe I'll try and get this bobbin finished today and then call that a day. But I would probably get the bobbin finished and then also the plying finished on a normal day. I don't know if I'll be able to do that today. Or maybe that's what I will do, and that'll be my kind of my goal is like one per day. I'm not sure about that though. I do want to weave fabric with this yarn, with the yarn that I already spun. So I might know it. See, we'll see. So yeah, the wheel's going thumpy thumpy, and I'm going to move this a little closer to my face just in case I say anything and you guys don't have to strain quite as hard to hear me. I hope that you can hear me. Please tell me if it's hard to hear me. Yeah, so the previous spin took a total of 26 hours, I think. Wheel pretty reliable, or do they break often? Seems to be a mix of highly durable and kind of delicate parts. I don't really know how to answer that, because it doesn't break often. It has issues often, like being extremely loud or kind of being annoying in the sense of like pulling the yarn too hard or not pulling in enough. Or not spinning enough, or not being able to go so fast because it'll be extremely loud. And then when it's loud, it's like, well, what's making that noise? Is that being hard on the machinery? Or is that just normal and fine? So it's like, I wouldn't say that it really breaks, like it doesn't just, a part falls off or anything like that, but it definitely has issues. Like, So I'd say the wheel is like, rather than breaking a lot, it just has problems a lot. That is frustrating, but at least I don't have to like fix something. I've had another like a traditional wheel, which like a tower wheel, actually, not a real traditional, but like a tower wheel. But yeah, I've had like a regular spinning wheel where like the wooden parts broke really easily, and the metal parts broke really easily. So this one's at least more durable than that one. So I've had two, yeah, I've had two traditional style wheels that have literally broken. This one's never like actually broken, it's only had problems. But then I have two other traditional wheels, which are like, so the two modern traditional wheels, like the ones that have been manufactured recently, are the ones that broke. Then I have two like vintage wheels, neither of which I've had any issues with ever. And then this one I have issues with, but it's never broken. So many issues. I feel like I'm keeping my face kind of too close to the microphone, but like I also don't think you guys would be able to hear me very well if I didn't. Like I can keep it quieter by not making it go fast, but that also means that I have to spin slower, and that's frustrating because I can go so much faster, right? Like here, it's kind of like an okay volume. It's not loud, but it's not, but you can still hear it. Oh yeah, and it does this thing where it kind of like slides. Like if I turn it up all the way, the wheel will just like move slowly. It does that even if it's not turned up all the way, but like it's kind of funny. But yeah, I wouldn't say that it's really delicate. Like I don't think there's any part of the wheel that's really delicate. Like I think if I dropped it, it might knock the bobbin out of alignment or something, but like it's kind of like that anyway. Or at least that's my kind of assumption as to why it's so loud, is that maybe it's not quite as well aligned as it should be. It's honestly the bit that's frustrating is that on the website, like where I bought it, and this is Ashford, like it's a well-known brand. I think my main kind of issue with it is that the website says that it's really quiet. The website like specifically said in the product description that it's quiet, and it is really not quiet. And I don't know if it's like quiet in comparison to other e-spinners or to the previous Ashford e-spinner, but it's definitely not quiet. Like it is so not quiet that I think people can kind of barely hear me streaming over it. And I didn't want to send it back because I was like, well, you know, it was expensive and I don't want to have to pay like fees and stuff. And it was kind of hard to get to contact the store and kind of have them. The store is difficult to contact. I will send them emails. They will not respond. And again, my email kind of has issues, so sometimes I think that, like, maybe it's actually my email not sending. So that could be. I don't want to, like, blame them if it's not their fault. I do, I do. Um, so when I'm not talking, I don't think that you hear any of the noise. Not being not being perfectly aligned or whatever. I don't know what the right word is. Maybe balance is the right word. But I use the word balance, and this may not be the correct terminology either. I use like